listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast by Dr. T. Michael W. Halcomb, Dr. Fredrick J. Long, Dr. Mario Melendez, Dr. Jennifer Noonan, and J. M. Smith. Welcome and enjoy.
Welcome to Constituent Marking with Fred Long. I am Fred Long, and we're going to be doing some continue on with 1 Corinthians 12:10. Last time we did 12:9, and I have 12:9 and 10 up here so that you can we can see the parallelism of what is unfolding. And so verse 9 begins with the hetero, dative case, and then it continues in 9a with an allo, dative case. So to another, faith is given in the same spirit. Allo, to another, and these are dotted, underlined because they are indirect objects of the implied verb didote, which means is given, passive, middle passive information. So what is given? Charismata, iamaton, and we have these prepositional phrases that ento avto pneumati and ento eni pneumati. What's being stressed is the same spirit and the one spirit. This is very fascinating. And the fact that you have a charismata as the subject of the implied verb didote is not a problem, because this third singular verbs can take third plural subjects, particularly when those, really only when those subjects are neuter. Charismata is third plural. It's understood working with the verb didote. And so all this is making sense. We have to pay attention to similarities and then also differences. And we're going to see a bit of a break right here in verse 10 as this listing of individuals who are given spiritual gifts continues, because we're going to pick up verse 10 because we're going to see that the Spirit is dropped. So reference to the Spirit is going to be dropped, and that's okay because it's clearly established that the same and the one and the same Spirit lies behind all of this. And if you have just started listening and watching the constituent marking and you did not see my earlier ones for chapter 12, you need to go back and watch them, particularly because the one where I was looking at, I think 12:6, 12:4, 5, and 6, but then ending in 6, I discussed a cultural background that in which you had different spirits, different divinities, gods, goddesses, who it was thought distributed different things to different people. If you wanted to have a certain ability, you'd lean into one god or goddess. If you wanted to have another ability, you'd lean into another divinity, another god or goddess. But Paul is indeed stressing the same Spirit and the one Spirit in verse 9. Okay, so we're going to pick up our constituent marking with verse 10. Allo, dative case, dotted underline. And then we have an ergemata dunameon. Energemata is the single underlined and is the subject. And so then we have dunameon as a genitive. So energemata, energies or working outs of powers, certain kinds of powers. And those powers, sometimes the word power has a sense of miracles in context when it's plural, miracles. So the dunameon may refer to miracles. So the working outs of miracles. To another person, we have prophetia, which is simply prophecies. To another person, so now we're getting a real quick listing of gifts. To another person, we have diakrisis, pneumaton, discernments of spirits, etero. To another different person, we have yene glosson, kinds of tongues or languages. I tend to want to translate that as languages. Kind of language. To another, we have enernia glosson, interpretation of languages or the understanding of languages. Okay, so what is achieved here, what we're seeing is that Paul starts using etero, but then also allo, and then allo, and then there's etero again, and then allo. These are all dative cases indicating distribution of gifts to individual members. Is there rhyme or reason to why he switches up? Why he sometimes uses etero and then other times he's using allo? I don't think so. And perhaps the grammar matches the distribution of God's plan, and according to God's will and plan. So I've noticed this principle where the grammar sometimes befittingly kind of matches the ideology or the messaging at any particular point. Here, I'm noticing that there seems to be a distribution use sometimes of heteros, sometimes of allos as the adjective used to describe other. And I think there is a randomness to it that matches somewhat the randomness of the distribution. And I think that that's done on purpose. So here in verse 10, we're getting a listing continuing. See how many lists we have, how many gifts are listed there. 1, 2, prophetia, energemata, dunameon. Then we have diakrisis, pneumatikon. We have again yene, glosson, and then we have an enernia, interpretation, glosson. So we have 6 gifts listed here. No, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have gifts listed earlier. Okay, so I'm going to stop verse 10, 12:10 now. We'll continue next time, I think, as Paul kind of pulls back and begins to generalize a little bit more about the gifts of the Spirit. Hope you're enjoying this constituent marking, and I look forward to having you listen and watch next time. Take care.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glossa House can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glossa House offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glossahouse.com today. Glossa House, language resources for the global community.